All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-through. Special shout out to Adam, working hard. Okay, hey, this tough shout out to my girls at the table. Yeah, let's hear it. All right, so this stuff's about ready to get hard, so we will move right on to the video. Okay, we are going to graph this one by hand, and notice that these are inequalities that are in standard form. So, if you remember the best way to graph something in standard form, put in a 0 for one of the letters. Here I've put a 0 in for x. So 5 times 0 is 0. So then you get 3y equals 45. Divide each side by 3, and you get y is 15. So we know that the point 0, 15 is going to appear on this graph. Okay? Similarly, let's put in a 0 for y. So now that's going to be gone, and you get a negative 5x equals 45. Divide each side by negative 5, and you get x is negative 9. That's how you find the intercepts. Oh dear, x is negative 9. Let me fix this. Okay, back to live action. We had the point 0, 15. Oops. We had the point negative 9, 0. Okay. And let's see, this is less than or equal to, so we are going to fill in our line. So let me change to a filled in line. And we'll keep this in blue, I guess. All right. Now, we want all of the numbers that are less than or equal to that. So let me test to make sure 0, 0 works. It should. 0 plus 0 is less than or equal to 45. True. So then we're going to graph this. I'm sorry, we're going to shade this. Everything below this line. Okay? All right, now, similarly, let's put in a 0 for x for this one. You get 3y is 24, divided side by 3, and you get y is 8. So 0, 8 on this one. Okay, let's put in a 0 for y in the bottom one, and you get a 12 for x. If you don't understand how I got the 12, just come see me. So you get a negative 12, so I get a 12, 0. Now notice, this line is not have an equal sign under it. So I need to change my line from a solid to a Ladasha line. Oops, sorry. Undo that. Line. Ladasha. Okay, now we want to be above that line according to that, so the point 0, 0 should not work. Is 0 greater than 24? It is not. So let's shade this in, let's say green. Everything above this, that's green, will work. So then the answer is everything that's shaded in yellow and green. And we will shade that completely in maybe a little darker purple. Okay, and let me just go bigger. So we got all of this. So all of the points in this purple region, which will continue forever to the right, let's see, and up this way, all of those points are the points that work. Okay, now we're going to use Desmos to do number 2, but first we're going to skip over to number 3 real quick. Is the point negative 3, 10 in the solution? So negative 3. Oh my gosh. It's close. I don't really know. I think it's right on the dotted line, which would make it not. Let me test it in both points and just see, because I can't even tell by my graph. It's so close. So let me put in a negative 3 comma 10. 2 times negative 3 plus 3 times 10. So that is negative 6 plus 30. So that's 24. Is 24 greater than 24? No, it is not. So this point does not work because it doesn't satisfy that equation. Okay? I do believe that it satisfies this equation because it's equal to 45, but it does not satisfy the second equation. Now let's take a look at Desmos. So I'm going to go to Desmos graphing, and I'm just going to click graph. I'm going to toggle back and forth here. My equation is negative 10x plus 6y is less than or equal to 90. Negative 10 plus 6 less than or equal to. So just click here. Negative 10x plus 6y is less than or equal to 90. Notice that it graphed it for us immediately. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let's go back to here. And 6x plus 9y is greater than 36. 6x plus 9y is simply greater than 36. Okay? Alright, so this is a really quick way to do this. And if you're interested in doing this on your homework, just see me. You got to probably add a snipping tool to your Chromebook. And we're just going to grab that as our answer. Okay? Go back to my workspace. And I'm just going to create a new page and graph it so that we can see it. So notice, the purple section is again the solution. We have one dotted line with a negative slope. We have a filled in line with a positive slope. So that's how we use technology to make our lives easier. It's not always that case, but it was in that one. Okay, so now we're going to go the other way. Notice we have 3 lines here. And we've got to figure out what the inequalities are. We need to write the system of inequalities. So let's start down here with line A. What is the y-intercept of line A? It's 10. What is the slope of line A? Well, I'm going to draw a right triangle to get my rise over run. Notice the slope is positive. It goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I agree. So up 9. It goes right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right 6. It's rise over run. So it's 9 over 6, which is 3/2. So now notice, we want all of the points that are below the line y equals 3/2 x plus 10. Plus 10, you idiot. So all of the lines below it, including the on the line, is y is less than or equal to 3/2 x plus 10. So there is the inequality for A. Now let's look at B. Okay? What is the y-intercept of B? It's also 10. What's the slope? Well, let's use this point, because I don't know what that point is, and this point. So it looks like we have gone down 10 and right 4. So it's going to be negative 10 over 4, which is negative 5/2. So the equation of the line is y equals negative 5/2 x plus 10. Again, we want all the points that are below that line. So B is going to be y is less than or equal to negative 5/2 x plus 10. All right, so now we got to find C. All right, now C has a y-intercept of 2. Slope, it's really slight. So let's take this point, and let's use this point. So we got to use, it's easiest for us to use even number points. So let's see, that's 6 plus 6. So we've gone right 12 and up 2. So the slope is positive 2/12, which is 1/6. Sorry if you can't read that, but you can blame ViewSonic. So the equation of the line C is y equals 1/6 x plus 2. So that means if we want all of the points that are above it, its y is greater than or equal to, notice the line is not dotted, 1/6 x plus 2. So that is the system of inequalities right here. This is the system of inequalities. Now, Amanda is examining Frank's work, and when she explains, you've written all of your inequalities backwards. The solution set to the system would look like this. So they're saying, what if it was above this line, above A, above B, and below C? Would those be the answers? No, 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 no. There would be no solutions if you reverse the sign because these sections do not overlap. So meaning this point might work for 2 of the equations, but it doesn't work for the 3rd equation. Okay? So that is not a true statement by Amanda. Nice try, but you're wrong. Oh dear. Okay, so here's where it kind of gets HD difficult. So I just want you to pause it and read this. Okay? I'm going to write some equations on the board, but we're not even going to use them, but it'll help me keep track of stuff. I know that Figaro Flakes has 12 grams of protein per scoop and 4 grams of fat per scoop. ViewSonic. ViewSonic. Okay? And I know that Tabby's Tidbits has 4 grams of protein and 6 grams of fat. So you are going to cut this stuff. Ghetto-style dog food, you're going to get some healthy stuff, you're going to get some cheap stuff, and you're going to cut them together and make the dog food recipe that you want. It's a very, very good idea. Now we've got some constraints. Okay? Carlos wants to make a meal that contains at least 8 grams of protein and no more than 6 grams of fat. Okay? So we need to do some sort of combinations of Figaro's and Tabby's to figure out what our possible combinations are. Okay, here's where I needed some help from Miss Wood. Okay? This is confusing. This is why we do the videos together. Because I don't necessarily expect that any of you would, or certainly all of you, would be able to come up with this on your own. Now, what we need to do is write a, let's see, a protein constraint and a fat constraint. Okay, now, we're going to use some of Figaro and some of Tabby. There is 12 grams of protein for every one of Figaro's scoops, every scoop of Figaro. And there are 4 grams of protein for every scoop of Tabby. And we want that to be at least, so greater than or equal to 8. So F is Figaro and T is Tabby. Now, if you look at the fat, okay, there is, and this is where it gets confusing because it's not fat, it's Figaro. There are 4 grams of fat Okay, sorry, there was an announcement. So there's 4 grams of fat for every scoop of Figaro, and there are 6 grams of fat for every scoop of Tabby's, and that must be less than, no more than, so less than or equal to 6 grams total. These are our constraint equations. And those are going to be hard for you to graph, so I'm going to help you, okay? Let me pause this and get a graph paper. Okay, so now, we've got our graph there. This is standard form. This is weird, so let's get some points. Put in a 0 for F. You get 4t equals 8, and you're going to get t is 2. Check to make sure that point works. So it looks like F is our first axis, so that's here. And this is T over here. So this is Tabitha's Tidbits, and this is Figaro Flakes, and it's scoops of each, so we're going to have a very small amount. So that means that at most, you got to be kidding me. Okay, back at it. So again, this is our F-axis. This is our t-axis, and we start at the point 0, 2. I had to make my screen a little bigger, my units bigger. Okay, now let's put in a 0 for t. You get 12f equals 8. Divide each side by 12, and you get f equals 8/12, which is 2/3. Okay, so 2/3, that's like 0.6 repeating. So it's like right about here. Okay? We're going to keep this filled in. Uh-oh. Let's change this back. Sorry. Alright. So there's our line. Alright. Now, let's do a similar thing. Here, let's put in a 0 for our F. You get 6t equals 6, so you get t equals 1. Which means the most scoops we could have of Tabitha is 1 scoop, and that's because Tabitha's food has 6 grams of fat per scoop. We can't have any more than 6 grams of fat. Now let's put in a 0 for our t. You get 4f equals 6. Divide each side by 4, and you get f is 1.5. So I solved for these because they were harder. These I did in my head. So the point 1.5 comma 0. We'll graph this line as well, and then we're going to shade. Let's keep track. This would be the protein line. This would be the protein line, and this would be the fat line. Okay? Now we got to shade. We want to be above the protein line. So above the protein line. But below the fat line. So where do those two lines intersect within the domain of feasibility? That would be, let's go burnt orange, anywhere in this triangle. So the triangle represents all of the possible combinations that we could have to get our dog food that we desire. We could go 1 scoop of Figaro and, you know, like, how about like 3/4 of a scoop, or no, 1/4 of a scoop of Tabby's. That would work. So there is our constraint, okay? That's going to be enough. I'm sure you're going to have questions on the homework, bring those questions to me, and I'll add them to this database so you can get the help you need. Thanks for paying attention to this long video. Chloe, can I get a, or Claire, can I get a boom? Boom. Boom.